Hello everybody, my mic was on unbeknown to us, so apologies. I don't think we said anything, Louise, did we?
Is mine on?
Is yours on? It's on now. It's on now. All right, how's everyone today? Yes, here we are. What do you think? One of Santa's little helpers, looking good, Andrew. And the lovely Louise has also got her Santa top on as well. We won't get her to stand up, though.
You had to, didn't you? You could have just left it.
Look, aren't we lovely? Look, what a lovely couple. What? I'm gonna get killed for that later. So
I wore a lovely warm dress today.
You did, didn't you?
With a big, anyway.
Lovely
you can probably guess the rest.
Yes, but you've had to take it off to put your lovely Santa outfit on, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yes. How's everyone doing? Good. Everyone doing well. That's what I like to see. Yeah, so how's everyone doing? It is literally, how many days for Christmas now? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. 6 days to Christmas. Is everybody still making up stuff for Christmas? Let me know, because I am still making rings for Christmas. I've got that scroll one I'm doing. What's that? Well, I can't.
I just laughed because David said, are they warm tops? No, they're not. You could shoot peas through them. And for God's sake, don't light any flames, because that's going to go up if you do.
They are a bit on the thin side, so it doesn't get too cold in here. They are really...
Sorry, go on, I interrupted you then.
They are really cheap and nasty tops. They were the best I could get off Amazon. What was I saying? Yes, so yeah, I'm still making up rings and things for Christmas. I think there's 2 rings I haven't even started yet. There's one I'm working on today. There's that pendant with the horse tail that Louise has plaited, doing that today as well. So it really is absolutely busy.
It's just been crazy over the weekend, Saturday and today. You know, do you ever get that feeling? I don't think you do, where you just don't really breathe properly because you're concentrating and busy and you feel like a coiled spring in your tummy.
No.
Do you ever get that? Does anybody get that, where you just...
No.
And you can't unwind it then?
Because I was in the shop, you're always rushing from one customer to the next
and
customer.
And your posture's a bit, you just feel a bit like, keyed up, yeah.
But when you're sat here, all you've got to worry about is what's here, haven't you?
Yeah.
So we can just sit down, and I think if we tense up, things don't flow right.
Yeah,
So I tend to like deep breaths and chill.
Clear gets
and
that.
Relax.
Yeah, and you just feel like you've got a knot or a coiled spring in you, not in your tummy, like above your tummy here, and you just...
That's too many mince pies, Louise.
You cheeky bugger.
Far too many mince pies, that is. All quality sweets.
Yeah, the latter probably.
Other sweet brands are available. Yeah. Yes. So yeah, it could well be. So before we go any further, let me quickly, somebody asked, I think it was last week, what a shot plate was. Oh, I've had to move that. See, there's the window there, Louise, see? That was I was dangling outside of. I've had to move there.
So that was fun last week.
Fun. Yeah. So the toilet froze up last week. The pipe that comes out froze completely, so we couldn't really flush the toilet. So don't really want to know this, but I was dangling out of the window that's just behind the camera there with an electric heater doing this up and down the pipe, dangling. I can't get to it outside. I'm dangling outside really far down, trying to defrost the toilet pipe. And I'm pleased to say I did.
We've had some exceptionally cold weather, haven't we? It's been like -8, which I know some of you in other parts of the world are probably used to, but we're just not here at all, are we?
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
But going back to shop plates.
We've lagged the pipe, now you'll all be pleased to know, so it's not going to freeze again, so we'll be all right.
Only 3 times in the history it's actually frozen. Twice this year and once, was it last year? But we're looking at, very quickly, shot plates. Somebody asked what a shot plate was, and the easiest way to describe it is to show you. And I found, the reason why I was pointing over there to the window is that when I moved that out the way, I found all my shot plates behind there. So this really is a steel block, and it's got small little indentations. This one's got little roses. And the idea is behind this, you get a little bit of silver, you melt a bit of silver into a bit of a blob. You put the blob on top of let's do overhead instead. There we go. You put the blob in the hole. You get a hammer, you bang the hammer, or you simply get a hydraulic press to push it into it, and the silver takes up the whatever this is in here. And this is one, I think this is one from Meki, but I don't know many other people who actually produce shot plates. But yeah, so that is exactly what a shot plate is. And before we go any further again, I hope you're all looking after your fingers. Don't forget, I do recommend this. This is O'Keeffe's Working Hands. What else do you suggest? What other things do you recommend to help protect your hands at this time of year? I'm pleased to say that my little cut on my thumb by there is healing quite nicely. I know Lee, who, as you know, works with us, he had a really bad cut down his forefinger, because when he files, he puts his finger down the file, and that's a hammer, I know, but where's the file?
You get very far with that.
And he pushes down, obviously the file resists, but his finger goes over the top, and he's got a really bad cut. Anyway, I always recommend, and this isn't an advert, a paid advert, but this is what we always use, called O'Keeffe's Working Hands. Really, really good. And we do this a couple of times a day. Simply just rub it onto your hands, usually onto the ends of our fingers. Like
Is that what you used Saturday? And I said, your hands feel so soft.
Oh.
And it was, yeah.
It was this, yeah. I put this on,
weird.
and it really is really good. Okay, so that is something that we use. I think we've used other things in the past. I think we've used Fisherman's, the stuffs. It comes in a small little tube, red screw top. The fishermen use this in the North Sea to help keep their hands. Some Tagina, I can't remember. We use that as well. But don't forget, you can also use your alligator tape, crocodile tape, whatever you want to call it. This looks like a pretty old one. Let me show you, I know I'm waffling, but let me show you my little tip to show you how I always wrap the alligator tape, okay?
You should have shown him a month ago, really, shouldn't you?
I know.
It's a bit late now,
So,
weeks ago.
I don't simply wrap it around and around and around and around. I feel that's a bit wasteful. So this is what I do. And I'm going to go on the hand. So what I would do, okay, this is what we do. So we're going to put it onto, for instance, my thumb, for instance, okay? So I'm going to hold it there, and I'm going to just do about 2 or 3 simple wraps around my thumb. Okay, my split's on the end. I get a piece then about 5 inches. Okay, fold that in half. Then I can put that over the end of my thumb. Okay, like that. And then I'll wrap a few more of this going round. So now I've got a nice protection on the end of my thumb. If I want that a little bit tighter, but a bit thicker, I can always do another little fold over bit like that. There we go, and I always end up with one of those going round. And that, I find, is the best type of protection for a finger or a thumb. Because the best thing is, you aren't going to see a customer, you can just simply slide it off. So it's not, obviously, permanently on your thumb. That is what I do, particularly on my thumb. I always get cuts on my thumb, and that is what I do. And it works well for all your other fingers as well. Thank you.
Well done. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good.
Yeah, apologies. At the Bench went down for 2 days over the weekend. 1,000 apologies for that. We managed to get that.
Nightmare.
We got that back up and running. Problems with the server with that. That was a nightmare with the server. But yes, we are obviously in the new year. We are going to be relaunching the brand new looking website. If you're not an At the Bench member already, I would suggest you join between Christmas and New Year. When we launch the new website, the membership price is going to increase to £200. It's £180 at the moment for a year. It's only going to be still cheaper than anybody else, and it's amazing quantity of films and knowledge that we got here for £200 a year. But between Christmas and the New Year, the membership is only going to be £99, and that is for a whole year. When your membership recurs after the first year, it is only £99. Bargain. So if you want to join At the Bench, join December 25th to the 1st of January 2023 and get it for only £99. That's about it. Anything else to say, Louise?
Yeah, I've got some bits and pieces to show and a couple of questions.
Excellent.
But do you want to do some of the chat questions first?
Yep, I think so. And then we can come to that just that little bit later, can't we?
Yes.
Good. So, hope everyone's okay. I have no idea what you're saying because I can't see. I have to get a new monitor. That's a really old monitor, that is. It's a 4x3.
Oh.
Can't see. Everything's just so squashed. Do you have a Q&A?
Go on then.
Excellent. It's Monday, the 19th of December, 4 p.m. time for our last Q&A of the year, I would say.
Well, it's Boxing Day this time next week, isn't it?
It would be, yes. I don't think we're going to be doing a Q&A Boxing Day. We're going to be running Mum and Dad's.
We're going to be at my mum's,
Unless
yeah. So
we
she
have
won't.
Q&A from your mum and
she
dad's.
won't take kindly to that. No, she's a bit camera shy, so she wouldn't like that. My dad would probably love it.
He would, wouldn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
If any metallurgical questions. No, so there's no Q&A next week. We don't think we're going to fit another Q&A in this side of the year, are we? Really do apologies, many thousand apologies for the lack of the workshops over the last 2 months. As you know, we run a workshop. It's been crazy, crazy busy, and we are up on last year, which is the best thing, isn't it?
It's fabulous,
it's
yeah.
Amazing, amazing. So thank you everybody for that, and thank you everybody for your company on our Q&As over the last year as well. So, Louise, should we have our first question?
Yes. Martina's saying, I'm a beginner and you are much, much appreciated.
Thank you very much indeed. Very kind.
Tanya, Merry Christmas to you too, Tanya. Helena's poorly. Oh no, but caught up on silk knotting 5 necklaces. Well done. Fab. Yes, Merry Christmas, Sandra. Right, Dylan is saying, is there any special tool to mark jump rings for a 4-pillar prong basket setting? Can't seem to get lined up correctly with eyeball. 3 of 4 are nicely spaced apart.
The best thing that you can do is to... Dylan's in America? Yeah, I believe?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so what you can do, you can go online and you can download something like this. It is like this sort of table, okay? It's a simple little table like this. There's a website purely just for these sort of concentric circles. Can't remember for the life of me what they are. So what we would simply do with that would be, you would get your jump ring. All right, I know this is a ring. It's not quite a jump ring, but you'd get your jump ring and you want to put 4 claws. So you choose one of these with 4. You put that over there, get it exactly where it is, and then get perhaps a little marker and just go dup, 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 dup. And then you've got 4 equally spaced out marks. Mark them with a saw, with whatever you want to mark them, a cylinder burr, something like that, just to put the grooves in, so then you can solder the claws on. So we have this on our At the Bench workshop reference chart, but those types of grids you can get anywhere. Now the best thing that you can do if you're soldering them onto jump rings would be, okay, so there's your jump ring there, and you're trying to solder your 4 prongs onto it, yeah? So what I would do to make life easy, rather than trying to get a piece of wire and hold it and try and solder it in place, get a cylinder burr to cut a little channel out of your, out of your jump ring, for instance, okay? That's like that, and this would be like that there. Okay, so you've got these little, and what you can do with that, you can come along and make sure that these are nice and equally spaced, rather than trying to solder it on. Okay, so that's what I would do there. Then to make life easy, you would get one piece of metal. You would basically put the piece of metal in a U shape like that, and you'd get another piece of metal and put it in a U shape as well. Okay, so there's your other piece. So what the idea is that you have, so what you do, you have the wire here, that would come along here, go into this one, that would go up there, the wire's coming over and drops down to that one. So that's what you've got, and then this bit of wire comes up, goes across and comes down. So you solder a little wire, solder it in the middle like that there. Okay, so that's soldered. Then you bend these legs downwards at equally spaced. So this distance from across the jump ring is this distance here. Bend them down into that like that, like a spider with 4 legs. Then these then will locate in these marks here. Solder these nice and easily. Then all you got to do then is snip the tops off and you've got 4 claws. A long answer. I know to something that's very easy, but that is the best way to put 4 claws or even 6 claws onto a ring and get them nice equally spaced out. Louise, let's have another question.
Good. Sandra's saying, do you have a good resource for learning how to knot? There's lots and lots on YouTube. Personally, I just watched lots and took the best bits of
all of them,
and experimented, and then decided which I thought was the most secure, I guess, is the most important thing, isn't it? And yeah.
There is a book.
Well, we have got, oh yeah, I can't stand up though, can I?
Well, you could.
Well,
it's very, very fetching.
Pan's
People springs to mind.
Andrew, that's enough. Anyway, this is a good book.
That is a good book.
This is a good book. I'm not sure it gives you a lot of information about, I think the most important thing is finding the right gauge silk for the bore of the bead, and there's, that's half the battle, because you don't want to make a knot that's going to fall into the hole.
Yeah.
So
and also when you're stringing, you have to make sure that the thread actually goes through the holes in the first place. And
well, it needs to go through twice, doesn't it? That's the thing. So
exactly. Yeah. So that is a good book. I don't think we've got any left on the store. That's the
What's
last
this one then?
That's the last copy.
Well, okay. This isn't on the store.
No, that's yours.
Oh, well, I can get another one if somebody wants this. Well,
oh God, you can't get them. No,
can't we?
No, that's it.
Oh, sorry, this is mine. But I have read it, I suppose.
That is.
There might be one on my desk,
copy.
but I can't check.
I think that's the one.
This is the one I took off my desk.
Yeah.
Right, okay, we should stop doing that. Selling all my stuff. Okay.
But yeah, as Louise says, that YouTube is full of lots of stringing. As you say, some of them are good, some of them are bad. Just pick whichever ones that you can.
I think try things out, is the best. Like some people say hypo cement is, some people say it's frowned upon and not to use it, but I just like it. I like that little bit of extra security that it gives, but other people say it's bad practice.
It works.
But it works, yeah. So anyway, have a little experiment, and if I remember any, Sandra, I'll send you, because I know there's one that's springing to mind. I'll email you the link, because there was one I thought was good. Great. Okay.
Let's have another question.
Happy New Year. Oh, Janet. Actually, Janet, we can do Janet's question now if you want.
Yes, sure thing. Yeah.
Don't do it, because I haven't had time to prepare my photos or anything, so I'm all a bit of a tizzy now, because it's just been busy today, isn't it? Busy.
It's okay.
Good. So, Janet asked for some advice on the hoop earring a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I have a photo of the finished result, which looks fabulous.
Nice.
I'm sorry, this is what happens when I don't have time to be organised. Right, so, wait.
No, I'm watching, we're okay.
Good, I just don't want to, obviously. Yes, so I can share my screen now. Look at these.
Cool.
How fabulous are they?
Lovely.
Gorgeous, gorgeous.
Okay, that's very good.
Actually, if I get my info up on here, I can.
And what was the question that Janet asked?
Janet's question, can we jump off there a second?
Yes, of course you can. Go on to you,
back to me.
Yeah.
So the question was, antique mother of pearl. Janet says on the photo I just showed you, a bit more titivating to do before it gets collected tomorrow. The star, tube set, sapphire, moon and bird represent the new owner's 3 children. How lush is that? Right, so the next photo I'm going to show you.
It's okay, I've just got scaggy nails. Okay.
Right, the next photo I'm going to show you, if it loads, it will load. It's here. Right, so antique. Wait. Antique mother of pearl bezel edges. So Janet wants to achieve a neat bezel edge on a pair of earrings. The buttons, so it's flat, very old mother of pearl buttons. 2 of them are tiny flat circles. How best to fold over the bezel? So cabochon with sloping sides. Everybody, well, a lot of people are familiar with. But tiny little buttons. Where's the Where's the picture?
I suppose the thing is, if they're very shallow, the bezel has to be hardly anything at all.
Okay, you can show.
I can't see that now. I'm going to have to go in and have a look at that.
So, not sure how I can achieve a neat bezel on these earrings, especially seeing how the button's not exactly flat on the back. I doubled up the heart buttons back to back.
Okay.
As could not lower the pattern gallery wire, cutting back a heart shape into the back of the setting. Much easier and more forgiving when it comes to rolling over the edges. With the earrings, I used with the earrings, I used a very thin, fine silver bezel wire I had knocking about. Great. So
I reckon that the bezel, I would have thought that the earrings, so the buttons, would be really shallow. And I would I would guess that a profile on the button would be something like that. And obviously then you've got your holes going through, haven't you? That's what I would assume that you're talking about, because a button is usually thicker in the middle than the outside edges. So I think the best thing to do there, you would not necessarily want to remove any of the back so it lies flat. You may be better off, when you put that into a bezel, is just put a little bit of perhaps some epoxy resin just on the outsides here, just to stop it going back and forth. So say your bezel is here, I would run a little line of epoxy resin just on the outside, so when the button sits in, it'll cushion itself here and here. I think that would be the best thing to do. Then you're still going to keep the depth of the button. But then the problem is, if you have your bezel too high, you've got a lot of space that bezel has to take up because they're shallow. If they were nice and high like that, no problem, because your bezel then only has a small amount to go over. So I think what you should do would be to make the bezel shallow as anything, so you've only got a very, very small little bit just coming over the edge, just enough. So if I can draw this really, really big, okay, so that's the edge of the button like that. You've only really got to have the bezel high enough just so it just comes over the edge. So that could be about 0.5 millimeter, 3/4 millimeter higher than the edge. And that would be enough to hold that in place, because don't forget, you've used your epoxy resin down here. So effectively the button is stuck into the bezel already. So you don't have to have an awful lot of security and an awful lot of metal coming over the edge. So just the slimmest, slightest bit. The problem that you may have is that if the button is not completely flat and the edge is a bit like that, how are you going to get that little 0.5 millimeter to go over the edge? You're just going to have to really play it by ear, and perhaps have the bezel higher, and then where the button is slightly wavy, just sand it down slightly so the edge of the bezel follows the contours of the outside edge of the button. But I think that is going to be your best bet to get them safely secure. But the arrow dye is a nice little trick. It cushions and stops the button from wobbling, but it also sticks it in place. I think that is going to be your best bet.
Good. While I'm in my emails, can I just share my screen a moment?
Yes, you can.
So this photo Victoria sent in to me. So these are hand-cut amber from a local beach.
Nice.
Fabulous. So she says still need to be polished. Gorgeous. They're really, really lovely.
I love the colour on the left.
Yeah, but I like the pale amber as well, though.
That's like the orange wine gums you used to get.
Yeah.
No, sorry. Yes.
Lovely. I can't flick back to my screen now, but she said one of the cabochons is a bit wobbly. What can be done about that?
If you cut them, can you just file the back?
Of the cab?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have thought, yeah, if you've cut them yourself and you've cut them to that shape, just
I mean, they're so soft, aren't they? Could you just sand it?
Yeah, just sand it and then repolish the back. That would be best bet, because you don't want to put anything behind it. Can I think, are they enclosed backs? Yeah, because the thing is, if you put anything behind those, they're going to show. So you can't put like the epoxy resin behind to stop it wobbling. But definitely, if you've cut them, I would try and smooth
you couldn't
them
even
out.
do the old sawdust trick, because you're going to see it, aren't you?
Yep, so there's nothing at all. I think you're really going to have to perhaps unset them if you set them already, or or to burnish them over a little bit more so, just to stop them rocking.
Okay.
But yeah, try and cut them and sand the backs and then repolish.
They're gorgeous,
That would be
though.
the best. They're a gorgeous colour.
Yeah, lovely.
Absolutely.
Fab.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, a little wobble. So yeah. So I have got another question, but do you want some more questions from the chat first?
Will do.
If we're
Yes,
not
please.
keeping you awake, Andrew.
I'm shattered. Come on, it's Christmas.
Yeah.
Christmas doesn't start until the 24th of December at 4 p.m. when we shut the shop. That's when Christmas starts.
We're not shutting the shop at 4 p.m. this year. We're going to shut the shop earlier than that. Right. We certainly will if Rita's got anything to do with it.
Yeah.
Right, Julia's got a question. When you have pieces, excuse me, when you have pieces hallmarked, do you ever leave the assay office to put the marks in their default position? If not, how do you indicate where you want them marked? What?
You know what I'm going to say, don't you?
Yeah, that's why I think I'll answer this one. What we do, what I do, is I get a Sharpie and I just literally put a little line exactly where I want the mark to go.
Yes.
And then put on your instructions, please apply hallmark where Sharpie mark is.
Indicated.
Yeah. And then it's very specific, because your default position is not necessarily their default position.
And their default position is going to be the easiest position to get to.
Well, it is just whatever, you can't assume that they're mind readers, which is probably what your problem has been in the past, Andrew. You've just sent it off and said, please hallmark. And it's like with a ring, you'd always make sure it's off to the side and not at the, not opposite the head, because if it needs to be resized, then obviously you're going to go. So just things like that, really. So I would always be very specific, mark it and tell them what the mark is.
Yes. Where to put it.
Yeah.
Yes. Don't rely on them knowing where to put the mark.
Yeah.
We always put some sort of marker upon the piece to say this is where we want the mark to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I suppose everybody's different, aren't they? And
Yeah.
and your default is not necessarily their default. So yeah, it's
Exactly.
just, I think it's easier for them, because in the past, I think once or twice I forgot to do it and they did ring me and say, where do you want this? Probably annoying for them then when they've got to...
Stop and then come back to it.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely.
Okay, good.
Good.
Some other question. You're flashing again. I don't know why we're flashing. I checked all the leads today, but you're still flashing, Lou.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's okay.
I don't know why I'm saying sorry.
Oh, there you're flashed again.
Okay. Can you stop me from flashing?
I'll have to disconnect you.
Diane has had hand surgery last week. Oh gosh, 4 months to go before I can get back to making. Oh bless.
Oh,
well,
God.
that's 4 months of watching at the bench, I guess, isn't it? And
Exactly.
4 months of
Yeah.
brilliant.
Learning.
Yeah.
Devouring content.
Yeah. Oh, let us know how you're getting on. Okay, Phil. Hiya, Phil. Okay, Barbara's got a question. I'm rolling out a sterling silver ingot and sometimes get blisters on the surface. Am I annealing it too hot? Am I wrecking the silver? Any suggestions?
Sounds like you've got air trapped in the silver. Bear with me a second. Whilst you're there, I need to disconnect Louise a minute. But I am
flashing like mad, aren't I?
Yes, you are. And I don't know why that should be. let's try that now. Let's see how you are now. There we go. So you're okay. So I think it is due to air trapped in the silver. The problem is if there's air trapped, you heat up the silver, the air expands, which then pushes the metal out. So I think the only thing that you can do there is really to melt it down. Excuse me. Now the problem with silver is silver will absorb the oxygen from the flame. It's an amazing amount of oxygen the silver will absorb. So the silver becomes quite like a honeycomb, okay, that's full of air. And what happens, you can squash it, but those air pockets will still be there. And when you heat it up, those air pockets will expand, and you do not want that. So when you come to melt it down, if you're using one of these torches, all right, you can't do anything about the control of oxygen. That is the best flame that you're going to get out of that. But if you're using something like a Smith's little torch that has dual fuel, so oxygen or propane, yes, right, oxygen and propane, or oxygen and butane, do not have it as a hissy flame. So what you don't want to hear is that. There's too much oxygen. There's too much oxygen, the silver will absorb that oxygen, making the silver brittle and the problems that you've got. So try and make it a little bit more of a softer flame. It will take you slightly longer to melt the silver down, but that should work. Just have to melt it down again. And then some people say when you've got your ingot, you should hammer it and then put it through the rolling mill. I don't find that is any different just simply putting it through the rolling mill straight away. So you're not over annealing it, it's just there's little air pockets caught up in the silver. Let me know if you are using just a single fuel torch like one of these, or is it a dual fuel like propane and oxygen or butane and oxygen, and just let me know. Another question? It has happened to me on quite a few times actually, and it is so annoying because you've got to anneal it, there's a bit of pocket inside. Just the annoying thing was the other day we were making up some wedding bands and there's a tiny little bolt ring in the metal that we didn't even see until we went to polish it, and had that little, like almost like a cross hatching of the steel within it. Why was it in there? The silver we melted, the gold we melted down didn't have any springs in there at all, but it was trapped in there from a previous melt. So the important thing to do is to actually clean out your crucible, and there's several ways to do that. Just check out the At the Bench films that we've just done. It shows you how you can clean out your crucible and make sure they're lovely and clean. Are we ready, Louise, for another?
Yes, I have some photographs to show you.
Okay. Not just yet.
Yeah, where are they? Pictures. Okay, so Sonia got in touch with me this week with a query. I got it. Sorry, I'm not usually this disorganised.
No,
like editing.
No, we were rushing today.
It's just been bonkers. So, with a question. So this is what Sonia is doing. Where does it start? You can, oh, you've done it. Okay. So this is a band which Sonia is looking to set a bezel set cabochon. I'm just looking for your text. Bear with me. Here, right, okay. So, I don't know if I can scroll sideways. Oh, great, I can. Right. So Sonia said, I'm in the process of making a cabochon set ring on this knitted style band. I would like to tension set this as I think the cab would sit too proud on top of the band. Also, I'm using a quartz rutile here. Gorgeous. So I would like to keep the light shining through the stone. I've already cut the bottom of the setting. Here we are. I would like to set this landscape as opposed to portrait, as I think it looks better. Okay, no, that's great. I can see when I put the cab setting on it, I'm going to lose the round shape of the inner band of the ring. Should I build up the bottom of the cab? At the moment, the walls are 0.3 mil and the bottom 0.5 mil. Do you think I need to solder another sheet to thicken it?
Mm-hmm.
Then I can file under it to the shape of the ring. If so, how much do you think another 0.5 mil to 10 mil? 1 centimetre.
1 millimetre perhaps?
Yeah, I think that's what. Or to 15 mil, 1.5 centimetres.
1.5 mil.
Yeah, mil. Or yeah.
Yeah.
The depth of the band is 3 mil and the thickness a little over 6 mil. The cab is 10 by 14.
Mm-hmm.
Full height is 5 by 6.
Mm-hmm.
It starts to curve in fairly near to the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the wall height I will aim to be 3 mil,
Okay.
no lower. Can you please give me some advice on this?
Okay, so I think what threw me initially, you were using the word tension. It's not necessarily a tension setting because you're actually soldering it, okay? So that's what threw me. I thought that band you've got there is never going to have enough tension to hold a stone. But you put it within a bezel, so that's fine, that's fine. Now, I know, but the problem you're saying is that your bezel is that shape, okay? You can use your stone here, for argument's sake. And now the ring that you want does that, yeah? So this is the problem that you say you're having. So when you solder the bezel here, yeah, onto the band, it's going to be flat. Totally understand. You can have it like that. That is not a problem. We did a ring last week and we had to have the ring that shape because we had a gorgeous pear-shaped aqua and it was so deep here that we could not remove anything from the underneath because the stone would have stuck out, which would have meant putting the stone higher, but then the stone would have been far too high for the ring. So yeah, I can understand what you mean. Now the problem that you've got is that it's going to take a good close to, I would have thought, depending on the size of the ring, because the size of the ring is everything. If it's a larger ring, this depth here is going to be less than if it's a tighter ring. So it depends upon the size of the finger. I don't think that you're going to have enough metal on the bottom, even if you solder on a 1 millimeter or 1.5 millimeter plate upon the bottom, to enable you to file that away. So it does that. And that, I guess, is what you're after. The problem is perhaps don't think about putting it in as a tension set, or a set like this where the shanking stops abruptly and the bezel goes into place. Perhaps, and I'll give you excuse me, 2 scenarios. Okay, so there's your band. Excuse me. You can do it 2 ways. The first way that I'm going to show you doesn't look that good, but what I would do is I would simply file away a section like that out of the top of the ring. Okay, so it's a complete ring and you filed out that section that enables you now to put in your bezel, yeah, for your stone. So the stone virtually sits on top of the ring, but you've lowered the ring down. It's going to take a lot of accurate filing and sorting out. So yeah, so here's your band like this, and what you would do is simply file across like that. Yeah, so that would be straight across like that there. Then the bezel can sit in exactly like that. Okay, so that's one way you're doing it. It doesn't look great because you've got these gaps here. The other way to do it would be to get some bearer wire, okay, that is this shape. Okay, so now the cabochon can sit onto there like that. And do you know what I mean? That now is this is your bezel. So there's your bezel coming round. The outside is like that, but the inside is stepped. Okay, so then that is a complete bezel going all the way around. But this is the shape, the profile of the wire. And the reason why that is there, so now when you put that up onto the band comes round like this. Now you can just file away the bottom of the bezel so you don't have to touch the stone, and you can do it that way. It's called bearing wire, bezel wire, and this is the profile. This is about, I would have thought, 0.3, and this is around about 1.5, something like that. And it comes in a long strip. Okay, so this is bearing wire. And it comes in a long strip, like that. And then you use that, you twist that around to make a bezel. So you'd have to start with a brand new bezel, but at least you've got enough gap underneath here to be able to file it. And because the stone is just sitting on this ledge here, okay, you've got that daylight underneath that you said you wanted to have. So I think that is going to be your best bet, is to buy some bezel wire or bearing wire and make a new bezel, and that would be the best way to do it. Does that help?
Yeah, great.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Hope that makes sense. Hope you're watching on the replay or even live, and I think that is going to be the best way to do it. There we go. Yeah.
Good, 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 good. Right. Oh, an update on Victoria's Amber. She's got it out of the bezel setting and is sanding down the back. Fabulous. Let us know how you get on. Yeah, no, yeah, just, yeah. I love it. Just seeing it all in real time. Fab. Good, good, good. Just another question. Audrey is asking, I keep melting the thin silver wire that I am soldering to the thicker frame. Any suggestions on how to tackle it? And I've got a photo.
Yeah, it's this is the problem with soldering, obviously thin to thick.
It's a spiderweb bracelet design, if I get the photo
like
up.
a small mass to a large mass.
Oh.
Yeah, you put the heat onto it.
Here we are.
And the smaller mass, the small amount, laptop, there we go. That's cool. Can you zoom in a second for me?
Yeah, it's a lovely drawing.
It's a drawing, is it?
I think, awesome. Is it a rendering?
Yeah, it looks like
it. I think so, yeah. That's really impressive, Audrey. I love it.
So that's going to be hard. That is going to be really difficult for torch control. And what I've always said is that you don't, especially with that type of bangle, you're soldering on. Okay, so here's the outer edges of your, yep, and here's your stone. And you want to do some sort of crisscross going like this, yeah. I've just put a faceted stone in mine. So the problem is that these wires are thin. Right, they are going to be thin. I think perhaps what you could do, this is just, I'm just thinking about this as it goes now. If you could get a small ball burr on where these wires are going to be soldered into these areas here, you put a small little divot. Okay, so you get a small ball burr, divot, then you cut your bit of wire and you just try and jam the piece of wire in to that so it stays there. You don't have to worry about trying to hold it or anything like that. And a divot on that side and the wire goes in. All right, so then they will stay in place. Then what you want to do, you don't really have to do it that way, but that then saves you having to hold on to them whilst you're heating them up. What I would do then is, say you want to solder this wire in place, hold on to that wire or put your little divot, and then get your flame and put your flame by here. So there's your flame here in this direction. So the flame is not going onto the piece, it's brushing the side of the piece. And what's going to happen now is that these wires are not in direct contact or in line with the flame. So what's going to happen, obviously we're not going to have the stone in there when we're soldering all this together, Andrew, so we haven't set our stone just yet. All right, that's our bezel. So this area here is going to heat up, and because now these little wires are in contact with this bit of metal, this is the important area to heat up, and as the heat builds up in this, the heat travels through to the wires. These wires will not melt if you do it in this way, because for those wires to melt, this is going to have to get to melting point, because the flame is not touching those wires. As I said, if you turn the flame round and point the flame in this direction, these are going to be in direct contact and in line with the flame. They are going to melt. So by putting a little divot and making sure that these wires are in contact with the sides, you flux, you put a ball of solder, whatever you want to do here, but the flame is brushing the side here all the time, and then you're heating up the edges. And the same by here, the flame would be going more so in this direction, okay, across, so that the heat from the side of the flame is heating up these big rails that have a bigger mass. And then as these rails get hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter, this temperature will be the same temperature as that temperature. These will not melt because the flame is not directly on them, and then that then should solder exactly where you need it to solder. It's all about knowing where to put the position of the flame, and a lot of times when we come to solder, we don't put the flame aiming at the piece because it is likely to melt. I was doing what was I doing? I was doing a 3-stone ring today, princess on the shoulders, round center stone, and I had a bit of a problem soldering the edge, the top edge of the shank right next to the actual square princess setting, and I knew if I put my flame onto it, all the claws are going to melt because they were closer to the flame than what I wanted to get to. But I simply moved the flame around and heated the underneath. So this is what I'm on, but I can see it in my head. But let me show you. Okay, so there's a setting and there's a setting. So this is a square setting here. There's the claws. This was the round one, and this is the square. All right. So my shank came along like this. There was a chenier, and I had this. I had problems with this soldering onto this. Okay, it was like a double gallery. I had a problem. If I had the flame in this direction, I'm going to melt the claws because I had to get down into here. So I brought the flame down here in this area, okay, and down here. So all the heat then traveled up to this area where the solder was and the flux was. And as the heat traveled up here and traveled up to here, when the flux and the solder got to the right temperature, it simply soldered by here. This didn't melt, but the heat traveled through. And that's what it's all about. It's knowing the placement of your torch so you don't melt. Put the torch on here, all these claws are going to melt because they're a lot smaller area than this. So heat up this down here and let the heat travel through. Louise, should we have another question, my dear?
I think Audrey wants to get in touch with Susan. Guys, that's fine. And I can give Audrey your email, Susan, but you do have to, I know we say this every time, you do have to email me and say that you're happy for me to disclose your email address to Audrey so I can keep that on file. It's just we do take data protection and the way we handle and process all of your information, regardless of what it is, very, very seriously. So yeah, if you could just give me that in writing, I'm happy to forward it to Audrey. But then Audrey, you in turn, then I've got to email me. So I've got your email address.
Yes.
To match you up. Is that okay? I know some people probably think that's a bit over the top, but we got to be very careful with how we...
Yeah, you just can't give people this information.
Of course you can't, no, exactly, yeah. So yes, thank you. Tanya has got a question. How do I bend silver tube without it going flat or greasing, please? Trying to make one so I can put leather through for a bangle. Nice. You
should be able to curve it slightly. Several ways you can do it. You can get a piece of copper wire to go in the tube, but it has to be a really nice, close, tightish fit. If the wire going into the tube, okay, so there's your tube. If the wire going into the tube is only this big, yes, when you do come to bend the tubing, it's likely to kink in these areas. So you really do need to put like a former inside the tubing, so it does not kink when you bend it. that's the easiest way to do it. You can go to somewhere like Hobbycraft, or you can go on somewhere like eBay, and you can buy tiny springs that go over the tubing. And again, it's got to be a nice tight fit. And then you bend the tubing that's inside the springs. The tubing will not crease, because by doing that, the actual dimensions of the tubing have to alter, but the spring is holding it into that shape. Or the springs go inside the tubing, because I'm sure you're only going to be doing a slight little curve. That's another way, and there's several other ways. You can block up one end of the tubing with a soldered little stop, or a cork or something you can stick into it. Yep. Then you can put in some water into the other end, seal the other end, perhaps with a bit of wax, something like that, pop it into the freezer. When that little bit of water, it's very labor intensive, I've never tried it, but it does work. When that bit of water has frozen, you then can bend the tubing, because the ice that's within the center of the tubing stops the tubing from bending and cracking and creasing. Or you can plug the ends, and you can put, people have used things like talc, people have used things like sand in the tubing, but the ends have to be plugged, sealed, so when you bend it, the sand and whatever that is inside the tubing stays in there, and then you should be able to bend it quite easily. So there's several ways for you to do that. Do we have another question?
Yes, we do. Dragon Hex is saying, what engraving machine would you recommend for a beginner?
Depends on what you want to do. I would start to learn how to use gravers. Onglettes, spit sticks, literally those are two sort of main types of graver to start with. It doesn't really matter about the size at the moment, because all you want to do is learn the control of engraving. You see it on places like Instagram, people have got like a Dremel or a micromotor with a tiny, like a 1mm or 3/4 millimeter ball burr, or it could be a diamond tip. And what they do some italic italic lettering upon a piece. It looks not too bad, but it isn't as good as hand engraving. So you can always buy a pantograph machine, which is like a gravograph. Again, we've got one, but that just follows a set of letters that scratches the pattern into the piece. Remember the old pantographs that you used to have when you were a kid?
No.
No, you. I do. A pantograph is like that. Yep, and these are all hinged in these areas here. And then depending on where you put this up here, if this goes at one hole, that has to go at one hole. So then when you move, that's mounted onto your board. So when you have your pencil in here, whatever you're scribing here, as you move this around the letters, there's a little scribe on here that will do it very, very slowly, small, that sort of thing. You can buy the pantographs, you can pick them up on eBay. We picked up one just a couple of years ago, really, really cheap. We drove down to Plymouth to get it. Had a lovely meal on the front down Plymouth Road.
Oh, what a lovely day out.
That was a lovely day out, that was. Business, what the heck. So yeah, something like that is great. It's not a true engraving machine. It's very limited to what you can do. But the number one thing, this is very, I don't like this. This is like scratching the design onto the piece. What you would have to learn to do first is learn to write properly. Learn to write, you know, with like, do it properly, you know, this sort
like
of...
books on calligraphy.
Calligraphy, that's the word, yes. So what you need to do, and even if you want to do
you can get like
push
specific
engraving,
calligraphy paper, can't you? It shows you the...
that has all the lines as well, and it's all like they have all the lines, it's all sloping, isn't it? So when you come to do your Ds, they're all, you know, they're all this sort of thing.
Everything starts and ends in the same place, so you,
So that is something that you need to learn how to write. Then from that, then you can go on then to do your lettering and so forth. But it is important, buy a book on calligraphy.
Calligraphy's hard anyway, isn't it? But
I
when you
love calligraphy.
I had the calligraphy pen. I can do the Gothic writing quite well because my dad does calligraphy amongst many other things.
But something like that is, you have your Quink ink and you have your quill, and as you come with, yes, absolutely brilliant. So you need to learn how to write sort of serif, sans serif calligraphy style first before you can learn then how to do hand engraving. Absolutely, yeah. Another question?
Yes.
Or do you have a picture? 'Cause we're running out of time. We're nearly 5
where's this
o'clock.
hour gone? It's insane.
It's me chit-chatting in the beginning, wasn't it?
It's okay.
Did you all like our reels? We did then some lovely reels over the last couple of days, haven't we?
Yeah, I am going to just pop something in the chat because Horatia sent me a link to some moisturising gloves.
Oh, right. Okay.
Put the gloves on for 20 minutes. Yeah, wear them to bed, I suppose, couldn't you? And then it's supposed to be really, really helpful. So
Neutrogena. Sorry, that's the cream that the fishermen's recommend.
Oh, the Nordic Fisherman's, yes.
Yes, the Nordic Fisherman's, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to pop this link in here. Thank you. Oh, it's too many. How do I shorten that?
Just put the title. Go onto Amazon and put the title in.
Hands. Oh, look, it's a long title.
Copy and paste that and paste that into
let's
Amazon.
try that.
Go back a second, Lou. Go back a second to Amazon.
Hang on. Oh, look, it's like War and Peace. Look at it. Hang on. Right, okay. Here, yeah.
Oh, I haven't got it on that one.
Yeah.
Because we got an affiliate with Amazon. Usually just gives you a short little.
There we are. That's the title anyway of the item that Horatia's recommended. Thank you very
Excellent.
much.
I'll have to try that.
Good. Okay. Any other questions?
The reels we had have been really good. Did you like the reel of the James Bond of me making up the earring?
That was 2 weeks ago now.
That was 2 weeks ago, was it really?
Yeah. Oh, bum. I forgot my advent calendar today. I've left it at home.
Oh, shame. But it
was Morganite today.
That was a really good reel, wasn't it? There was loads of views on that one. That was me making. That was actually made up the earring, and I actually had it in my ear. And then there's another reel we did. Did the reel. Andrew, what you doing? I'm melting down some gold, Louise. Oh, how much borax do you use, Andrew? Well, Louise, I'll show you. Remember the old. Have you got it on there?
I have now, yeah.
And this came through today. We can put it on. Yeah.
Well, before it came through, I was like, I found a picture of Andrew Berry, and I was like, oh my God, what's going on? But it was this. Brilliant.
So yeah, we loved that, didn't we?
Thank you, Salty Meme Smith. Yeah. Thank you so much. That did make us laugh a lot. I think that needs to be your new profile picture, Andrew. Brilliant.
So we like that. All right, on that note, we're going to end because it is now just gone 5 o'clock and Sharon's going to be locking up. So on that note, we will leave you with my lovely... Obviously, my face has been superimposed onto that.
Has it?
That what really wasn't me.
Has it?
It is, yes. That was spit on. Yeah, that much, okay. And it was basically his response. Someone was saying earlier on that day, how much borax do you add to your melt? If I added too much, and we went, no, this is how much you need.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant.
All right, so I think, Louise, we're going to end it there.
We're going to end it there. Yeah.
Sincere apology, we haven't got through to everyone's questions. We really do apologise for that. Don't forget, between Christmas and New Year, special offer on At The Bench, you have your £99 membership instead of £180. But when the new website goes live next year, it should be mid-January, it'll be £200 for a membership, and it's going to be amazing. It'll blow your socks off. Far, far better. Everything's going to be far better. We're learning all the time. So I think that's where we're going to leave it, Louise.
Yes.
Everyone, really, Merry Christmas.
We're not going to see anybody now, are we, until after Christmas?
No, it's going to be after Christmas now. So everyone, enjoy yourselves. Enjoy the rest of the week. Enjoy Christmas or the holidays. Enjoy yourself. Don't drink too much. Eat plenty. And enjoy the relaxing time. And let's hope your fingers get nice and clean and your little cuts heal over the Christmas, the festive, the holiday season. Never know how to say it.
Noel.
Never.
The holidays,
Noel.
yeah.
Noel. Noel. Yeah.
Over the coming weeks, yes.
Over the coming weeks,
Over the
yes.
coming weeks.
This is going to be our last Q&A of 2022. Thank you all very much for all your support over this past year and all years previous. It's been absolutely wonderful. Glad that we can help. We get so many emails saying people love the Q&As and they love joining us, don't they?
Yeah, it's really, but you guys make the Q&As what it is. It's just amazing. It's such an amazing community, and we love it when people talk to each other, start helping each other out, and we just love being here. And every email, every message, every like, every share, every piece of support you've given us, thank you so much, because it really does mean a lot to us, doesn't it?
It does, yes. Yes, and obviously we do this every week, usually 3 times a month, and the other week we do a workshop, but apologies for not doing the workshop, but they'll be coming back in January. So everyone, enjoy the rest of your holidays. Do you want to say anything, Louise, before we go?
Tanya's saying don't forget to clean your bench, Andrew.
It will. That's my job. Whether it's dirty or not, which is usually absolutely stinking dirty.
Isn't it?
Christmas Eve, around about 12 o'clock, the batteries sort of stop, straps stop, we don't do any repairs. That is when everything comes up, not this bench, the one downstairs, and we sweep them in. I actually wash the bench because it is stinking, and I must wash it 3 or 4 times to get it nice and clean. Obviously, the water does not get put down the drain, it all gets put into my reclamation bag. So don't forget to do that. Don't throw anything away. When you wipe the top down, use some baby wipes or some tissue paper, some kitchen roll, and put it into your bag for your reclamation, because there is precious metals everywhere. Anything to say?
I don't think so. No. When are we back, Gillian? When are we back? We're back. The Monday's a bank holiday in the UK in lieu of the fact it's our Sunday, isn't it? Because New Year's Day's on the Sunday, so it's going to be the 10th.
No.
9th.
6th.
No.
8th.
No, stop saying numbers. You're just being random. Hang on.
8th.
When is it? Let me.
8th.
The 9th.
9th.
Yeah, I was right.
We're back on the 9th.
Yeah, we're back on the 9th. No, we're back here on the 3rd. But that's a Tuesday.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the Q&A is on the 9th.
Yes.
You've got a break of 3 weeks from us.
Oh.
Oh.
But no, do you know, like, it's funny, isn't it? Because if we have a stressful day, or it's like today's been busy and kind of stressful, and we've done a lot this year, haven't we? And there's been times where... Yeah. Ooh. We're back on the 9th. Yeah, we're back. Why am I... Shut up. What's going on here? My computer started talking. Yeah, there's been times where life has been stressful in the last year, and there've been times where I thought, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to get through the hour, but then we do the hour, and I just feel completely different after spending an hour doing this and speaking to you all. It's just...
It is good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Things have happened, haven't they? And like we've gone, oh, we're rushing, and we sit down and we go home feeling...
Louise often not often, but occasionally comes and says, I'm not doing it,
I'm disorganised, oh my God.
I'm not going to do it. And I go, no, look, just calm down. We're going to do this, it's fine. And sometimes I'll say, I'll manage it, I'll do it on my own, but it would be nice if you could.
I'm just the diva, aren't I?
And then you do, you come along then and you do it. So we've got some things planned to do. We're not going to be having all this time off and doing nothing. We are going to be doing nothing. We're going to be doing nice walks.
I've got a plan. I've got a little project that I'm going to do over Christmas, but I can't tell you anything about it yet.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I'd like to say thank you all for just all the support and
support and love you've given us over.
And we go home on a Monday and we feel
yeah.
set up for the week, really, I suppose, don't we? It motivates us, and
we do.
It just makes me feel different about my day. And I genuinely mean it does, doesn't it? You've seen it.
Are you filling up there, Louise?
I am a little bit, actually. Yeah, I think it's my age. Busy week.
But no, it is good. It is good for everyone to come on, and we do love all the questions. And yeah, we are working. Merry Christmas, Mrs. Lloyd. Yes, Merry Christmas, Mrs. Lloyd. We'll leave a mince pie and a glass of whiskey out for her. Yeah, we'll do that to Rudolph, but we'll do that for Mrs. Lloyd.
You'll freak out if we come back and it's gone, won't you? Hey?
Yeah, we got things planned. We are going to be doing a few little projects over Christmas that we'll be announcing in the new year, and that'll be going out later on in January and every month. Hopefully from then onwards, that's going to have a bit of fun. That'll be announced in January. So Louise,
yes.
Anything you want to say now before we go?
Just lots of love to you all. Have a lovely Christmas and enjoy some downtime, I guess.
Yes,
Yeah?
enjoy.
And we'll miss you.
Yes, I was going to say come and join me over here, but...
You had to, didn't you? You couldn't just leave it lie.
All right, everyone, enjoy your holiday season. We will see you back with the Q&As back on the 9th of January. We're going to be on socials all the time as well, so keep an eye out on that. A few more reels to do for the Advent calendar. Not quite sure what we're going to be doing yet, but it's going to be fun. So everyone, enjoy your holidays. We will see you bright and early, 9th of January 2023, to the start of a brand new year and plenty of new things to come. So Louise, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Everyone, take care. We will see you all in 2023. Take care. Bye-bye.